I'm Pamela Brown in Washington. Welcome to our viewers in the United States and around the world. You are live in the CNN newsroom on this busy Sunday because there are explosive developments in New York as Governor Andrew Cuomo digs in his heels in the face of new allegations of inappropriate conduct.
There are some legislators who suggest that I resign because of accusations that are made against me. I was elected by the people of the state. I wasn't elected by politicians. I'm not going to resign because of allegations. Anybody has the ability to make an allegation in democracy, and that's great. But it's in the credibility of the allegation. No, there is no way I resign.
And now there are mounting calls from key Democrats for Cuomo's resignation despite his vow to stay in office. The state Senate Majority Leader is telling CNN in a statement a short time ago, New York is still in the midst of this pandemic and is still facing the societal, health, and economic impacts of it. We need to govern without daily distraction. For the good of the state, Governor Cuomo must resign. The back and forth sparked by accusations from a third woman. Former Cuomo staffer Anna List tells the Wall Street Journal that the governor asked her if she had a boyfriend, called her sweetheart, touched her on her lower back at a reception, and once kissed her hand when she rose from her desk. CNN's Alexandra Field joins me now for more. So what can you tell us about these latest accusations and Cuomo's response today, Alexandra?
Hi there, Pamela. We are hearing more from some of these women. They continue to come forward. You have 4 now who are alleging inappropriate conduct from the governor. 3 of them are former staff members, including Annalise, who spoke to the Wall Street Journal. She was reportedly with the administration from 2013 to 2015. She tells the Journal that she did not file a complaint at the time. Instead, she requested a transfer of office, but she says she considers the governor's behavior to have been inappropriate. She details a time at the Executive Mansion during a reception when the governor kissed her on both cheeks, put his arms around her back, touched her waist. The Journal has a photo of the two of them together. The governor was asked about his interactions with List this afternoon, and he described those interactions as being comparable to interactions with dozens of staff members over a period of decades. Listen to this.
I say to people in the office, how are you doing? How's everything? Are you going out? Are you dating? That's my way of doing friendly banter. I take pictures with people at ceremonial events. That is a very common practice.
So the governor went on to say that if the quote-unquote customs change, his behavior would change. He has maintained that he never touched anyone inappropriately, but he has apologized for making anyone feel uncomfortable, saying that that was unintentional. But Pamela, as to those people who are calling on the governor to resign, he says there's no way he's going to do that. He says that is not due process. Instead, he says the state's Attorney General, Letitia James, must be allowed to thoroughly conduct her investigation into allegations of sexual harassment. The findings will dictate what happens next. Pamela?
All right, Alex Field, live for us from New York. Thanks so much. And now let me bring in someone who has covered New York politics for many years, CNN political commentator Errol Louis. Errol, how significant is it that the New York Senate Majority Leader is now calling on Governor Cuomo to resign?
It's very, very significant. She has resisted going quite that far. She originally called for an investigation, but as the leader of the majority conference in the Senate, and a similar statement came out from the Speaker of the Assembly, not quite as forceful, but saying he essentially agreed with it. Andrew Stewart-Cousins, the Senate Majority Leader, has a veto-proof majority. If she were to mobilize just Democrats, even without help from the Republicans, all of whom dislike the governor, she would, in fact, have the votes to sort of move an impeachment forward. So it's very, very significant. It's also significant, Pamela, because we have a lot of problems, which was alluded to in her statement. We've had 47,000 people die of COVID in the last year. We've got a budget that's due in 3 weeks. Very little progress has been made on it. When I interviewed Andrea Stewart-Cousins just the other day, she said she has not spoken to the governor in 2 weeks. This is not the time for that. And there are, of course, other issues going on with nursing home deaths. There was just something that was revealed today, a major investigation about safety problems possibly being covered up on one of the most important bridges in the state. So her statement was saying, like, listen, we just don't have the time to go through all of this stuff. You, Governor Cuomo, are not able to do your job because of this cloud hanging over you.
Yeah, what do you make of the timing? Like, what do you think it was that sort of moved the needle enough for her to come out and release this statement? It struck me that she did it after Cuomo was pretty defiant today and basically saying he is not going to resign and there should be an investigation.
Yeah, my guess is that the governor was trying to get ahead of the news, that he knew what she was going to say and got tipped off and wanted to try and beat her to the punch. I do think that one of the factors here, and I'd urge everybody to take a look at it, the paper in the state capitol, the Times-Union, had this major investigation in which between 1% and 50% of the bolts on a major bridge, apparently there's paperwork suggesting that experts say that they could fail, that there could be a catastrophic failure on a heavily used bridge. And the investigation today, which took quite a long time because the administration didn't want to turn over data, appeared to have downplayed or even covered up part of it. There's going to be a whole look at all of that on top of everything else that's been going on. And so, you know, when the governor appears to legislative leaders to be an unreliable negotiating partner, our whole system breaks down. We have a system that really requires close cooperation between the leaders of the legislature and the governor. That right now is in a shambles.
All right, Errol Lewis, thank you for bringing us the very latest there. I'm joined now by New York State Assembly member Yuh-Line Niou. She is a Democrat who is calling on Governor Cuomo to resign. Assemblywoman, thanks so much for coming on. If Cuomo sticks to his guns and doesn't resign, is there enough support to impeach him?
I don't know yet because we have not yet gone back into conference to talk to our colleagues, but both of our leaders have now called for his resignation. And so I believe that, you know, we do have the numbers.
Do you think that he should be impeached and removed if he does not resign?
So an impeachment process is actually a trial and also an investigation. And I think that, you know, that will help to also shed some light on all of the things that he has done for all the rest of New York State. And I think that it's really important that that happens. And I think that, yes, I think that there are a lot of grounds for his impeachment. There's also a lot of grounds for his resignation.
So Governor Cuomo, as you know, he will not resign, he says today. He says democracy allows due process to play out and that judgment should be withheld until this is fully investigated by the AG. Does he have a point?
I mean, I think that there is also the impeachment process, which would also bring in a investigation and a trial as well. And sure, you know, we should, you know, take on all of the things that the AG says, but we have to also remember that the AG has already released a report about the nursing home deaths that he has.
So it sounds like you at least want there to be an impeachment process to go forward. Even though you're calling for his resignation, he's clearly not going to do that. You want the impeachment process to move forward. Would it be satisfying to you at all if he announces he isn't running for re-election next year? Would that be enough for you, or do you want to see this impeachment move forward?
I think that right now the question is whether or not he has the ability to be able to govern. And I think that right now, if New Yorkers are not able to trust the numbers that he is delivering and not able to believe the things that he is saying, if we as the legislature cannot actually believe the numbers that he's putting out and actually trusting the guidance that he's putting forth, it makes it so that we can't do our jobs, and it makes it so that we are putting New Yorkers at risk.
What do you see as most damaging to him right now? And have you heard from him? Would you be willing to talk to him about what's going on?
I think that there are many, many different pieces to all of the things that are playing out. Right now, we have the fact that, you know, the immunity language was in the provisions that were put in to protect nursing homes and protect nursing home executives. That language, actually, we have to look into the finances of what is going on there, because there could be possible pay to play. The other thing is also the you know, obviously the covering up of and the hiding of 50 of the nursing home deaths, right? There were 15,000 people who passed away, and their families have not had a chance to have that closure because our governor is trying to disappear them. And I think that it's really important that we know that, these folks are people and that they should not just be disappeared. They are New Yorkers. They are our people too. And I think that it's so important that we are recognizing that and that we are actually holding him accountable for trying to disappear them and trying to not count them. And also at that same time, trying to blindfold and handcuff the legislature from actually being able to prevent more deaths. And I think that that's really important to know. And then, of course, there's his...
Go ahead.
Sorry, and I said that the last thing is also his perpetual and, constant abuse of power, which has been shown throughout. And that includes, of course, the sexual harassment in the workplace and, of course, how he treats, the people around him.
And of course, he has apologized, and he has said he never intended for anyone to feel uncomfortable or that he touched anyone inappropriately. I just really quickly want to go back to something you said. You said possible pay to play. I just want to make sure I understood correctly what you're talking about there.
So we actually, know that the immunity language was actually put in by Greater New York Hospitals Association, and that language is word for word how the, Greater New York Hospital Association wanted the language to be, and they are also a mega donor of Andrew Cuomo.
Very, very quickly, last question. Do you feel afraid at all about speaking out? We've seen others who have been afraid to speak out. They only want to talk anonymously. Why do you think it's important to come on the show and to talk about this?
I think that I used to be afraid often. I used to be afraid often. But I think that, hearing from so many of the families who have lost their loved ones, and also hearing from so many of the staff who were affected by Andrew Cuomo, I feel like this is not the time to be afraid of anything. These women were brave. The families were brave. And, right now, if I have the ability to speak up, then I should.
All right, Yuh-Line Niou, thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate it.